Grandmaster Lightblade can be super unforgiving, but there are several things you can be doing to make your experience less frustrating. The first is, don't challenge a Lightbearer Knight in Super. Don't be in line of sight of a Lightbearer Knight in Super, don't peek the corner to make sure the Knight hasn't moved, just let the Super end. The shield throw they have is the same as a Titan running Sentinel shield. It won't just one-shot you, once you're dead it'll bounce to any other target in line of sight and kill them as well. If you don't respect the Lightbearer Super, you'll be back in orbit faster than squatting with a llama in Trials. As a side note while we're on the topic, their grenades also one-shot, they can use them out of Super, and always expect them to throw 2 grenades. The second thing you can do is, in areas where the boss is present, focus them down until they disappear first. This is particularly helpful in the very first encounter, where the boss has so much range and so much damage that most attempts to challenge anything else will result in dying to the boss. It makes it so much easier to deal with the barrier champions and the knights and everything else going on in the room if the boss just isn't part of it. This also applies to the Ogre Pit. Next, don't bother building around unstoppables. There's a total of 3 unstoppables in this Nightfall, the first of which is completely stationary. The other 2 are fighting each other when you approach the second area the boss appears in, making them even less threatening than the first one. My average experience is one of them gets killed before you even start working on the things going on in the pit, so your mod slots and weapon loadout would benefit more from having those resources dedicated to something else. Just don't forget to do damage to the ones in the pit before they die, otherwise they won't count towards platinum. Number 4, have a plan for the boss. You can bait the boss into being animation locked for a lot of this fight by jumping back and forth between the middle platform when you're being targeted. Be prepared for a Lightbearer squad every 1/3 of the boss's health. And 2 barrier champions after each Lightbearer squad, in addition to an extra pair of barriers at 50%. Don't hesitate to let a barrier champion get away if it means you also survive, and try to consistently be aware of what the boss is doing.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy!
They can go from one side of the arena to the other in seconds and 2-shot you from across the map even faster. I'd also recommend going straight up whenever there's any question about whether or not you're safe behind something. The next couple things are going to be for those that feel like maybe their own loadout could use a little work, or perhaps an adjustment in team composition is in order. Number 5, have a Storm Grenade Titan and/or an Omni-Oculus Hunter. There are several Storm Grenade Titan builds, and they all do a lot of damage. Though it's also a pretty aggressive playstyle. Having a teammate that can instantly drop aggro and get people up is super nice to have. An Omni-Oculus Hunter can also allow you to skip most of both fairy sections, in addition to just in general saving your life more times than you even realize.
Now be careful here.
Number 6, take off Arbalest. Wait, hear me out, okay? I know Proving Grounds was traumatizing, but these barrier champions just aren't even in the same league. On a list of the hardest things in Lightblade, they wouldn't even make top 3. A legendary scout or auto rifle with a little range that serves the specific purpose of disabling barriers is perfectly sufficient, and it'll allow you to run an exotic that fills a different role, like add clear or burst damage. I was super stubborn about taking Arbalest off, because it's Arbalest, but it just wasn't doing it for me. Lastly, auto-loading holster is a god-tier weapon perk, and I would take it over literally anything else, including Vorpal. Don't forget to press some of those buttons below the video if this helped you out, and I will see you in the next one.